It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
It is the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovakics. We're coming to you from the north part of our studio complex, far north, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are in Flower Mound. Big time props to Christy Hunt for getting this studio ready. My better half, and putting together maybe a better studio than we have in our home location in Central Texas. But and by the way, if there's anything about this studio that, you know, maybe isn't totally silky smooth right now, this is our first one from here. It's pretty damn good. We're going to continue to rock and roll from the DFW area, and of course from Central Texas at the Alico building. I think I can see the Alico building from here. I think I see it because I see a guy who looks like Wolfman Jack kind of bounding around the 21st floor. That would be Mike Hamilton. But it is the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovakics, Crawford Austin Properties. Of course, we'd like to thank our friends, Sikora Family Ford, D1, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, and a great segment yesterday. A lot of people were talking about it. The segment we had with Dan Ingham, of course, Dan with First National Bank of Central Texas, but we were aggregated here for the first time ever on the Pete Sousa Show. I mentioned to Dan, I spoke with a really good source in the Big 12, somebody outside of Baylor, and we were talking about all kinds of other stuff in the recruiting world and the NIL world, and we're going to get into more NIL here shortly. But one of the major topics we came across was how much big-time quarterbacks are getting. Matt Rule said in the offseason, you know, it's going to take at least $1 million to get a serviceable starting quarterback out of the transfer portal. We mentioned yesterday on the show that the information I got through this source was that Will Howard of Ohio State fame right now, formerly of Kansas State, was offered $4 million by Baylor to play at Baylor, which he turned down because he went to Ohio State. That's no shade on Baylor, and who knows how much they were offering. And again, when Dan and I talked, I said, you kind of put like a $1 million bonus BS on top of that story. I would guess it was probably around $3 million. I feel like everything, even in the biggest of boardrooms, is kind of, people try to trump it up a little bit, right, and pour a little something on there. But yeah, that was a big story yesterday, and I heard from a couple people who had seen the fact that it was on Locked On Baylor, and that it was making the rounds on Twitter. And look, the only thing I can say is, like, I 1,000% stand by it, like a very good source. I want to reiterate, the source was not anyone close to the Baylor athletic department, but someone who's very close to Will Howard and that situation in his family. But we're going to hear more and more of that. And that brings me to my next story. After this intro, of course, we're going to bring on Corey Dickman to get our picks for this week. I'll let Corey tell you how we did. And then, of course, we're going to talk with Cam Stewart. But yesterday, I was shocked when we got finished our show, probably about a half hour later. I hit the road to come up here because I go into Colorado State for a football game. And then after that, I'll be going to Charlotte for the ESPN basketball talent seminar. And I'll be up there for Monday and Tuesday. And we'll get programming squared away for those 2 days so you can see some fresh stuff. But I saw that Tony Bennett retired yesterday when I was on my way up here. Tony Bennett, head coach of Virginia. Without getting too much into it, I have no issue with players, big-time players, getting paid money. Look, this was an antiquated situation for so long. The NCAA was a governing body that you don't have to look to Jay Billis to find stuff wrong with it, right? There's just stuff you can pick apart or have been able to pick apart for many, many years. I mean, look no further than the fact, I think, I forget what it was, but the Urban Meyer situation when he got in trouble at Ohio State, it was literally something like, you know, a little bit of money given here and there to these athletes who didn't have any money. Yeah, of course, there were situations that were huge, and there was some egregious illegal stuff going on as far as recruiting was concerned. But that's like with everything in life. You're always going to have to police that stuff. The fact that these guys, student athletes and girls, weren't getting paid for so long, and they had a worth, was a joke. So NIL is great. Get these guys money, get these girls money. But the landscape is changing, right? Now it's pay for play, and it's happened so fast that everybody's one step ahead of the sheriff. You're now dealing with, if you're somebody like Tony Bennett, you're dealing with agents, you're dealing with collectives, you're dealing with families of players, you're dealing with players themselves. It's a lot, and I left out probably another half of the equation there. My man, Jay Wright, who is like the greatest guy. Let's throw out my personal bias. Jay Wright's one of the best college basketball coaches of all time. He walked away from an amazing job at Villanova, most in part. He would tell you differently, but because he's such a good guy, he doesn't like to allocate blame anywhere. But part of the reason, a huge part, was the NIL and all those situations and the transfer portal. Right? It's just, who needs it? Who needs it? Does Nick Saban need it? Now, it was probably time for Nick to retire sooner or later, but maybe it saves a guy like Nick Saban a little bit, where he goes out on top rather than just continues to coach. But Nick Saban is another one. Chip Kelly, going from a head coaching job to an offensive coordinator job. Liam Cohen, who was the offensive coordinator at Kentucky, who probably would have been up for a head coaching job this year in college football this past offseason, went back to the NFL. And there's several other coaches that did the same thing in the offseason. It was a hot topic. I remember Adam Schefter reporting in January, February, that the new thing that was going on now were a lot of these big-time coaches in college football taking jobs as positional coaches in the pros just because they didn't need it anymore. So the Tony Bennett thing, I knew that it was NIL and transfer portal when I saw yesterday Jeff Goodman from Yahoo Sports tweet that it was not a health issue and that you couldn't rule out the factor that transfer portal and NIL had in all this. So there's a lot going on in college sports. I think there's some things that I think we're all just catching up. And I think if you want to blame somebody, you blame the NCAA for taking advantage of a cash cow for so long that now here we are. And we're trying to make it right. The powers that be are trying to make it right. And I think we're getting there, but, at the expense of some of these coaches who, they're so successful and they have so much going on in their lives, their families. Now they have money. Now they have a certain amount of power. Do you really want to be dealing with all this stuff? And you hear a lot of coaches talk about, hey, I gave it back to the assistants, or, Bill Self, I just really removed myself from the NIL and the portal stuff. So we could talk about that forever, but it's kind of scary, but it's certainly a sign of the times when Tony Bennett, who's a guy who was at ACC Media Day about a week ago, just like that, retires. And there could be other stuff that we have no idea about right now, but I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised if we come to learn in the next week or so that there was a straw that broke the camel's back as far as the portal and NIL was concerned over the past 10 days with Tony Bennett, where he said enough is enough. And that's a bummer because he's an amazing coach. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll also see what happens with Corey Dickman, and we'll chat with Cam Stewart. But the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network. We are live from Flower Mound, Texas.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
This is our little Fall Friday here on the Pete Sousa Show.
sports.
Which means it is time to make some do-re-mi. We are all in, not like the Jerry Jones version of all in. We are all in this year with our bets. Let's bring on Corey Dickman, who is live from Waco as we are in the Flower Mound studios here for the Rogue Media Network. Corey, I got to start. You know, we are all in bets, but
Yep.
we got to do it. We got to go through last week.
Yeah, I'd rather just talk about our new studio we have in Dallas, Texas. Like, let's just spend our time. We're expanding, Pete. We're growing. You're there.
We are growing, and
but you still are down here for.
And it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, I know for sure. It'll only get better, just like last week's bets compared to this week's. I got some good selections, but yeah, sure. You know what? I come on the show. I'm not running. You know, I didn't go to vacation today to not own up to last week. We've been riding high, and in the world of sports betting, it's you're gonna the law of averages, right, Pete? So we'll just real quick, because we don't want to dwell on it. OU was up 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. That was great. That's what we wanted, right? They didn't score the rest of the game, so we did miss on that bet. We had a plus 14.5. We move on in life. Okay, don't worry about it. Alabama. What's going on, Pete? Do you have any inside information? What's going on?
No,
Alabama?
I don't. But I would say I have heard from people that that know a lot in college football. Like, it's almost like Kalen DeBoer. Like, he could be on the hot seat even with that win. It's like it's not good.
It was just a gross win. I mean, they race out 14-0, right? So we had them at minus 21.5. The script was exactly what we wanted. They should have just blown out South Carolina. That shouldn't even been a game. And then they just let them back in. And then again, they're squeaking out this last second win. I mean, 2-point win for Alabama. That's probably the worst 2-game stretch for that university in a very long time.
Very, very long time. I know when Nick Saban started, they lost to ULM. I think that this is up there with that little stretch.
This has to be up there. So we missed on that. Our apologies. The one that really hurt, the degenerate bet, Pete. Boise State at Hawaii. I think Boise State, they took in a little bit of the sunshine, the beaches, the luau's, and they didn't care. We thought combined, I even was flirting with that plus 1,500 where you had 92 points could have been scored. That game didn't even get close. It was barely 30 points. So
it was disappointing.
So 0-3, we own up to it. We're 6-6 on the year. So if you've been following with us, you're at least even right now. Okay, so don't be mad at me. Don't be mad, but we're gonna jump in quickly. NFL. Sadly, Pete, the money we lost on Saturday, we weren't able to make it back up on Sunday. But we were a lot, and this is going to be my pity party I'm going to hold for myself.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Commanders, we had them at plus 6.5. They lost by 7. And so it's just like, we're just a half point. Now, if you want to give me half credit, that line moved to 7 at kickoff. So technically we pushed, but
maybe we moved the line here.
Well, and it happened again. So Cardinals at Packers, I said 47.5, over 47.5 points scored. It was 47 points, so we missed it. But that line did move as well to 46.5. So technically, we did hit, just not at the time that we said it was going to be. So, I'll let you decide, Pete. You can be the referee.
I'm saying we didn't win, but I appreciate what you're saying.
You're a tough one. And then the worst one of the day, the mortgage bet. I apologize. Your mortgage lenders are probably angry at you right now because we missed on this. This was the Steelers Raiders under 41 points. That should have been the lock of the day. That's
all things being equal, I went 1-4. I called my guy up and I liked. Look, I rolled with a lot of these picks. You're my ride or die, bro, when it comes to this. So and I loved the Raiders, and we got annihilated.
We did, and there was a weird turnover in the third quarter. The Raiders turned it over like on the 7-yard line, and then Justin Fields punched it in. It was a weird touchdown. Probably shouldn't have happened. And so it just, there were some weird points scored that shouldn't have been, but we missed it by 4. We still were close. You take that touchdown away, we still hit the under. Now the one we did hit, which was Jets +7, they did not win the game, but they did cover 3 points there. So we did hit that one. So it wasn't a complete loss over the whole weekend. And I don't know if you were tracking, Pete. Vegas was loving this past week in the NFL. Favorites were hitting. It was not a great weekend for the underdog, which it had been pretty much all season. This week, the favorites came back. So, again, it always ebbs and flows, man.
Well, let's start flowing.
We're going to flow. You ready to flow? Are we going to flow with me? Okay, Pete.
Off with we're now the guy who is staring down the barrel of a slump. We need a hit.
Pete. And so let me just pull up my sheet here. So when you hit a slump, you go back to your tried and true, right, Pete? Isn't that what we do in life? When life gets us down, we go back to what we know. And so our boy Avery Johnson, quarterback of the Kansas State Wildcats, they're getting -2.5. They got to win by 3, Pete, against the West Virginia Mountaineers. Come on, Pete. What West Virginia? Did they look good this year? What do you think?
No, but and I think that there was speculation around Coach Neil Brown losing the locker room, because if you remember, after they lost to Iowa State, he was like, "Oh, the fans had fun." He got like a couple things taken out of context. So people think the sky is falling in West Virginia. It's not, but they're not good enough to beat Kansas State.
They're not. And you're going to give me 2.5. I'll take the -2.5. Kansas State wins by a field goal. DJ Giddens, like that guy, he could go off on this game. Avery will control it. Kansas State, they're on a roll. They're 5-1 right now, Pete.
I think Kansas State took a big shot to the chin early on at BYU in a night road game. They proved they can win a night road game at Colorado. I think 6 p.m. kickoff here, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I think that Kansas State's going to get it done. I agree. They know this blueprint to success.
They know it. So they're going in. Let's take Kansas State -2.5. The game of the weekend, right? UT, Georgia. We got to get in on this, right?
Let me look at this. Yeah.
UT, I admit, I look at UT and I'm just not – I don't see a championship. They're obviously good. They're number 1 in the country. I get it. But, Pete, I don't think they're going to win it this year. I don't believe in the Longhorns. And so you're going to give me 4.5 points with the Georgia Bulldogs. Give me Georgia +4.5 going down to Austin, Texas. Home field advantage. Does Austin really have a home field down there, Pete? Like, do they?
Well, look, they do. But when you're playing a team like Georgia – remember that the last big game like this was when they had, I think, an 11 o'clock kickoff local time against Alabama, and they kept it, but they lost. And I don't think they covered either. As far as this is concerned, Kirby Smart said it's extra motivation that Georgia's the underdog for them, which is kind of scary that a team like that needs extra motivation.
Yeah, you're going to give that team extra motivation. Trevor Etienne, those guys, I think they come out. You want to give them the win. +200 is about where you get on the money line there. But give me Georgia +4.5 for the sake of our record. Keep hitting bets here on the all-in bet segment of the Pete Sousa Show. But give us Georgia +4.5. And then, Pete, did you go to prom?
Yeah.
You went to prom when you were in high school? Okay. You got to dance with the girl that got you there, right? You might see them.
I danced with her. Yeah.
And there is a team in the beautiful state of California, located in Los Angeles. They have not done us wrong this season. All they do is cover, Pete.
Back to the Bruins.
All the UCLA Bruins do is cover. Now, they got to fly across country, but that's the new life for the Big Ten teams that used to be Pac-12 teams. They got to fly across country. They don't care. They're going to the mighty team of Rutgers, Pete, and they're not a mighty team of Rutgers.
No, they're not.
4.5 points, Pete. UCLA, they're going to cover. They cover. That's what they do. So you're going to give me +4.5 for UCLA at Rutgers. Now Rutgers is 4-2. Okay, they're on track to make a bowl game this season. UCLA is not winning games, so just look at their record. Don't be mad at me. But +4.5 for the Bruins. going to get it done because
A new local kick, by the way. So it's going to throw them a little bit.
You said that last time against Penn State, and you know what? They covered. So they don't care. The Bruins just get down and dirty. They will cover the spread 4.5 points against Rutgers.
Real quick, just along that same line, the 11 a.m. kickoff at Cincinnati for Arizona State. That could be Cincinnati and Arizona State, on paper is the better team.
Yeah. They had a great game against Utah this past
Cincinnati's
weekend.
a 5.5 point favorite in that game. Pretty proud considering the travel and everything. Yeah.
Give me Arizona State right now. Put me the points on Tempe. Give me Tempe right now. You get it? Put it down, Pete.
I got it.
No, I don't know. That's a side one. I'm not putting that on the record, but
no, that's not on the record. Yeah.
Yeah, I like where you're at. All right, dude. Ready, Pete? Ready to go to the big dogs?
Let's go. Let's go. Let me get over. Okay.
The professional players in the NFL. We got to get back on track here. Okay. The NFL picks. I think we're 3-7 right now. We've been hitting the mortgages except for this past week, but we got to pick it up here. And so we're going to go do a money line bet. Okay. The Detroit Lions travel to Minnesota, the undefeated Vikings, Pete.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lions are scared. They're getting 1.5. You could take the Lions plus 1.5 if you think it's coming down to a 1-point game. Give me the money line Lions plus 108. So you get a little plus money there. The Lions win that game outright, and they take over the lead of the division, right? They'd be tied, but they would have the head-to-head. The Lions are going to go into Minnesota and get that win.
I agree with you. I agree with you because I think it's kind of like separation time for that division, and I think the Lions are showing us how good they are, and it's nice to get in right now where you can get in and make some money.
Yeah, and the Vikings have, obviously exceeded expectations. No one would have thought if you had them at 5-0, you got that Jeff Bezos money now at this point because you would have been paid off huge. But I think Detroit goes in there on the road, gets the job done. So take them outright win, Detroit Lions. And then we're going here. Last week we had Arizona at the Packers over 47.5, right? As we alluded to earlier on the show in the segment here. It was not the Packers' fault. The Packers put up 34 points. It was not the Packers' fault. They did their job. Kyler Murray is a mess. Arizona, I now have to take Kyler Murray off the top of my board as far as the garbage time touchdown dude. He doesn't do it. Cardinals are a mess.
We got to talk to our boy Kevon Cobb about him. Kevon was a huge talking big time stuff about Kyler Murray before the season.
Yeah, we got to talk to Key because that's not happening right now. Kyler Murray is, I don't know. I think DeJounte Murray could go out there and be a better quarterback. New shooting guard for the New Orleans Pelicans. He could be a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. So, but now you want to let's take Arizona out. Now you put in the Texans, C.J. Stroud. I know Collins is hurt, but Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon. The Texans are going to score some points. So you can keep the Packers slotted in at around 30 points for this game. Give the Texans, this game could go over 6.
47.5, I'm seeing.
47.5. We're going over. We're going over, Pete. It's going over. The Packers are going to score 30. You can pencil, not even pencil. Use a pen. Put them in for 30 points. The Texans just got to put up 18. They're going to keep that as a game. So again, I would add some juice to it. I don't know what the alt line is, but you want to make that 54.5, get some good money on there. That's probably plus 300. Go for it. But for the sake of
cool.
Yeah. But for the sake of the record, let 47.5. That's where we're going.
Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud, good friends. They consider themselves good friends. Hopefully, look, if it works out for both of them, they'll each have a big game. They probably like that. So that's what you're saying.
I think they said they have each other on their fantasy teams. Is how they do it.
Really?
No, I'm making that up. I'm joking. I don't know that. I don't hold me to it. They don't have fantasy teams. They might have fantasy teams. All right, Pete, your mortgage. You ready? Do you feel like it's safe this week with me? Because I'm
happy that the Cowboys are off the board. So that's good.
Yeah. We got it.
Everybody needs a break from those guys. Okay.
Everybody. Matt Mosley needs a break. Edward, Mike Hamilton, he needs a break. All these guys need a break from a Cowboys game. So thank goodness they're on a bye this week. I got to work my team in. It's been too long. It's time to get the Seahawks back in the mix here. So the mortgage bet, Pete, remember 2-team teaser. So we add 4.5 points. The Seahawks are +3 going to Atlanta. That's a disgrace. The Seahawks should be favored. I know this is like the furthest they could travel besides going down to like the Miami for the Seahawks. But so I get it. I get the cross country deal, but +3 is blasphemy. So we're going to add 4.5 to make it even more juicy for us. So Seahawks +7.5, Pete. Seahawks +7.5 against Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. And then we're going to
We're saying it's just two teams headed in opposite directions. The Seahawks are going down. The Falcons are going up. You're saying no.
Pete, if this was NBA, which I can't wait until we start doing NBA bets, you can ride momentum in the NBA. In the NFL, you almost got to zig and zag because it's like, 3-0, Seahawks were cruising. Now they've lost 3 in a row. They're going to bounce right back. The Atlanta Falcons are going to come back down to earth a little bit. They're going to finish 9-8, maybe 8-9 this season.
I have a question for you, Mr. Seahawk. They're going to keep wearing those uniforms. I guess we'll never know. I think we've been kicked out of the room. But boy, this studio looks good. Hello.
Don't we have 10 rooms?
All right, you got me?
Sorry, man. Yeah, we got logged out. Someone kicked us. Someone kicked us out. I don't know who it was. One of our all-in dudes.
It was Sheridan. I'm positive.
Sheridan did it. All right.
Wait,
hey.
Hold on. All right, let me ask. We're going to start 3, 2, 1. All right, Mr. Seahawk. Are they going to keep wearing those uniforms? Because those things are money.
Oh, those things are cash money. They're totally going to keep. That's the one thing. Seahawks are always going to be at the top 5 uniforms. I mean, that's just
uniforms they wore last week. The throwbacks were amazing. Dude.
Oh, those throwbacks! Like you still got the Boz behind me. Oh no, we got Tom Brady behind me. I don't like that. I just picture him in that uniform. Like oh man, those are beautiful.
Absolutely. So we got to see. All right, so we're doing a 2-teamer though, right?
We're doing a 2-teamer, right? So we got to pair it. We got to pair it with somebody.
+3.
You know who a sneaky team that is going to start making some noise because they're playing last week was maybe not so great, but they won is the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, he's he got that wrist thing. You watch him, Pete, right? He's a little funky as he's throwing. It'll get better as the season goes on. The defense is active. Cincinnati is -5.5 going to I think they actually you're breaking news. Cleveland just changed the name from the Browns to the Dumpster Fires, the Cleveland Dumpster Fires. So the Cincinnati Bengals go to the Cleveland Dumpster Fires, who just traded away Amari Cooper. Deshaun Watson, I don't even know what's going on. That's going to be a 30 for 30. Something.
Oh boy, you got that right, pal.
I mean, and there's obviously all the stuff that's been documented, but I think there's more than we know right now. So Cincinnati travels to Cleveland, -5.5 Cincinnati. That's the spread right now. We're going to take that down to -1. This is basically a pick 'em. Give me Cincinnati. They're rolling with Burrow. They got Chase. They got Higgins. They got all their guys. Like, they're going to be fine. This teaser, Pete, this 2-team teaser, Bengals -1, Seahawks +7.5. I mean, I would take out a second on your home and put it on this mortgage bet. This
after that,
confident.
We're not doing second mortgage yet. All right,
that's not confident.
Yeah,
we're not doing that yet. Okay,
with the regular mortgage bet.
All right, sure, just the regular. That's the pick.
One more time. Let's run through them one more time.
Okay, so in college, so we'll do the NFL or the college. We got Kansas State -2.5 going to West Virginia. We got the mighty Georgia Bulldogs +4.5 at UT this weekend. And then our tried and true, our prom date, our thick and thin UCLA Bruins +4.5 at Rutgers this Saturday. Then NFL picks, Pete. We got the Detroit Lions money line. So just win the game, Detroit, against the Vikings. Then we got Houston Texans at our Green Bay Packers over 47.5 points. They're going to score. Oh, baby, bunch of points. And then to make your mortgage, not a second mortgage, maybe that's next week, but the mortgage bet is you got the Cincinnati Bengals in a teaser with the Seahawks. Bengals -1, Seahawks +7.5. We're happy. This is a clear 6-0. Between college and NFL. We're going to get back on track here, Pete. I feel it.
Well, best part is we're going to hold your feet to the fire next week. But right now, I mean, the key is, Corey, body of work, 6-6 right now. 6-6.
We're good.
Okay.
You know, it's not a sprint. We talked about this last week. It's a marathon. So we got a lot of games left. So if we can be 500, we're going to climb on top of that. Remember, we got to be around 65% win rate by the end of the year. So we're good. We are exactly where we want to be right now.
And by the way, we're great. We're exactly where we want to be with you joining us now. It used to be Benjamin Betts all alone. Now it's all in Betts. And we got you over here at the Pete Sousa Show. And we couldn't be happy.
We love it, man. I love being on with you. Thanks, Pete, for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you next week. That's Corey Dickman. All in Betts.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
In.
Hey, it's Pete Sousa. Look at him.
How's it going?
Yeah, you have to talk into that.
I thank you very much. Cameron, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Cameron?
We got you.
Hey, Cam and Mike, question for both you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Have you ever flown Frontier?
Frontier Airlines?
Yeah.
Or just flown to the frontier, the final frontier.
I rode a Buffalo through there one time. No, I don't think so. I've flown Spirit and Southwest, never Frontier.
I have not, no.
Why?
I've never been to the Northwest, which is where most of their stuff
Are you flying that this weekend?
To Charlotte? Can you hear us? Oh, what is
You're
this?
muted.
Turn off the
We can't hear you.
Pete.
He hit the button.
The time has come to push the button. This is a disaster.
High quality television.
High fidelity. High voltage. TNT.
There you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete. Wow.
All back.
It's good?
Hey, Pete, let me ask you something. How's the rest of that slaughterhouse look? It's a joke. Yeah, but now you're frozen.
What is this? What is this? Do we need to take this home?
Now you're back. You're back. No, I think this is gold.
Because
right here.
Pete wants to use it for his show.
So how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's very echoey, but we can hear you. Yeah.
All right, so you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Is he even on the mic though, or is he on?
No, I think
laptop?
he's on the. I think you're on the laptop mic.
Hey, Christy, I think I'm on the laptop. Watch, this is now. You will not get
Yeah.
like, more high-powered tech personality. It says the mic is on the laptop.
Uh-oh.
I mean, come on.
Hey, it's just nice
This
to
is,
know there's
by the
somebody
way-
else in that house with you.
So
Pete
so
is
it
very
said
much
that it
like
was
me
echoing.
Yeah.
in that
Okay, how about now, guys?
probably needs to do almost everything for him.
Say it again.
How about now?
Yeah, it's still very echoey.
Oh, hold on. She's
That's
switching it
right.
now.
Go with what you got,
I can
Pete.
hear her literally saying no, Pete.
Yeah.
Hold
No,
on.
wait, Pete. Wait,
She's-
wait.
It's going to be 1 second.
Hey, Pete. Hey, Pete. How tall are you?
I am 6'6". Maybe my mom would say 6'7".
Okay.
Why would your mom say that?
You stand up
Because, you
straight
know,
around
she's proud of her son. Christy says that I'm a little taller than 6'6".
So if you have pride in your children, you add an inch.
I think
guess,
so, yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yes,
my mom,
that's
I think
about right, though. Yeah.
my mom has pride in me, so she tells her friends that like I have a real job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not that I'm like an extra inch
Yeah.
taller.
My mom has pride in me, and she can't speak. So
My mom, Jesus. My mom has pride in me, but she
like
shows
that,
it by saying like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be something someday."
yeah.
All right, how about now?
Chasing his dream.
Yeah, it's still the same, Pete. Hey,
How about
Pete,
now?
have you
No, I haven't. I've been to a couple, but no.
I've never
Yeah,
been to a bar mitzvah.
You haven't? Well, because you're from
No.
Texas. You're not blessed.
No,
with
that's
enough
true. I
Jewish
guess. I
people.
guess it
Sam
is.
and I have.
I guess it does have a lot to do with your location.
Pete, you've done a
Yeah.
lot. You had a time where you did a lot of stand up. You've told me this.
A
in
lot.
times
I mean, I
when-
did some.
What is
And I was
okay,
actually pretty good.
well then let's put it to the test because I want your best stand up joke that you did or bit that you did.
Oh, I can't, Cam.
For
I
free.
can't. It's too off color.
So,
When Christy leaves the room, you're more than welcome.
Christy, wait, what are you doing now? So the microphone isn't working, Mike.
yeah,
Hold on. Now. Okay, try now.
yeah. Try it now.
Oh, wait. Okay.
I wonder if he's
Uh-oh.
pushed the button.
I don't know. You should push the button.
Okay. Now, what about now, Mike?
There you are.
Listen to this fella.
Oh,
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you,
All
Christy.
right.
Well, we got
Thank
to
you,
sign off. It's
Christy.
been good seeing you, Pete.
Thank you,
All right.
Christy.
So that sound a lot better.
Yes, much better.
Okay.
You don't have a
So-
single one that's on color
I mean,
that you're proud of?
Edit yourself.
Yeah.
gosh. Well, okay. I got one for you. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay. All right.
So you got to realize this was a point in my life where I was not sober yet, and I was pretty honest with my comedy, but I didn't take people behind the scenes into like how dark it was. But I was open and honest with the fact that I was unemployed, I was living with my parents, I had lost my jobs and opportunities, and then I was clinging to just a few left. So I told this story that. I was actually living in
Funny so far.
I was living in Philadelphia, and I was taking the train down to Charlotte, Cam, for the NCAA tournament. Now, I was taking a 10-hour Amtrak train, okay, from Philadelphia to Charlotte. I was desperate to just work in any way I could. So I'm on this train, and this guy is talking to me on the train. He won't leave me alone. You know, you do the earphones
Oh.
in, and he won't leave me alone.
Old strangers on a train.
We've all been there.
Strangers on you think strangers on a plane are bad? Strangers on a train are scary. So
I meant the Alfred Hitchcock film. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
so he starts to
Watch that
ask
from
me
my rear window.
about what I'm doing, and I said I'm going down. I work freelance sports. You know, I'm going to cover the NCAA tournament, first and second round in Charlotte. And the guy looks at me, and he goes, "Man, I bet it pays really well." I was like, "Dude, we're on a train. It costs like on a train from Philadelphia to Charlotte. No, it doesn't pay well."
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a better
That's
response.
something that
than I got
people just think about sports, like in general. Like they say, I'm sure they say it to you, Pete, all the time, and they imply it with me too. Like, oh man, like you must be doing well. Like, you know what I mean? You're
The same
getting
thing
press
with
box video
sports.
game. I'm like, I'm not.
As
Well,
I
wait, was that the
matriculated a
joke?
little bit
Sorry, I
with
didn't mean to-
sports, it's been better, but TV news was the one where I'm like, you have no clue. You have no.
Yes.
TV
That's
news is they don't. I mean, boy, they don't pay too much money, right?
I mean, technically, I think I was below the poverty line by working 40 hours a week at local TV news. Like,
I was
genuinely.
lucky, and you know what's gotten worse because I got in before it got awful, and then it got terrible. People were
Mike,
being
are you breathing
hired
okay?
to do.
Mike, are you breathing okay? I can hear it straight into the microphone. Sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
He's
Like
like,
it's hot.
oh, by the way, Cam, let's ditch this talk. Let's talk about
All right,
the
my show.
lot of controversy we created by you aggregated onto Locked On last night. I couldn't believe it. Christy and I were out for our 1-year anniversary dinner, and I got, you can notice when you're mentioning a tweet, which by the way, over the course of my career has been good 0 times. And so I was like, oh my God. And so I checked the tweet and it said that a Locked On Baylor had mentioned me in a tweet. And then I checked and I was like, oh, wow. So then because all the folks at Baylor listen to that, Cam.
Yeah, because they are trying to nitpick something from me to keep me out. Yeah, so I know they listen.
So I haven't heard from any of the powers that be over there, which is good news.
I think it actually. So it was about you saying that Baylor offered Will Howard $4 million in NIL money in the offseason.
Yeah, and look, I mean, truth be told, I was just being paranoid because at the end of the day, it's good reporting. I mean, I have an source who's very close to the situation, and it's very interesting. And I was thinking about it too. Like, I don't think it speaks poorly upon Baylor. He went to Ohio State. If anything, shows Baylor is willing to pony up a lot of money, and it's a window into, because he was one of the best quarterbacks in the portal. Would you say?
Yes, him and Dylan Gabriel 1-2, however you wanted to do it. That's why I'm like,
I guess it makes sense. I mean, if I was a Baylor fan, I'd be pumped.
That's why. So it hasn't gotten the numbers I thought it was going to yet. That's not your fault. It's my fault. But I that's kind of my takeaway from it is like, I had a bunch of people in the comments who were saying like, oh my God, how many offensive linemen could you have bought for that? And it's like, that's not an equal playing field. Like, if I had to guess, and this is purely speculation here, of how that went on, I'm sure Baylor was in contact with some rich benefactors, donors to the program, and we're like, hey, we want to put together a package here for the best quarterback in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Whatever. We think we might have a beat on him. It's going to take a couple $1 million. Let's put something together. If you tell them, hey, we're going to try to put up $4 or $5 million to buy an offensive line, they're like, I don't know. I don't know about
That's
that.
a really good point, Cam.
And that's like, and so I think that maybe I'm just searching for positives for Baylor football at this point, but I think that's the way I looked at it was like, at least they showed that they were ready to go out there and do this. You know what I mean? That this was a team that didn't use the portal or NIL really at all 2 years ago. And they said they were going to change that. They went out, they identified the top quarterback, they think, in the transfer portal, one who crushed them twice in 2 games against Baylor, 6 touchdowns, no picks. And they put out a huge price tag for him. And yeah, he said no, and he went to Ohio State. Like, what are you going to do? That's college football, no matter how good Baylor is, right? They're not going to win out in a bidding war against Ohio State, and they're not going to have as impressive, the tradition, the history, the NFL guys as Ohio State was going to have. Well, I look at that as a positive, as like, hey, they put their cock out on the table and said, this is what we want. This is what we're identifying. This is what we're going to go out there and get. God willing.
God, Mike, Cam is disgusting with that last comment. Oh,
what are you going to do?
Well,
by the way, speaking of NIL and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
The Tony Bennett, stepping down. I'm guessing, pure speculation, but also having been close to college basketball coaches and some coaches that have stepped down. Like, I would say it's 100% because of the portal and NIL, unless we find out some bombshell that honestly.
And that's basically what he said. That's basically what he said this morning. Yeah. But like, to me, that's kind of bullshit. Okay, right. I understand why coaches might not like that. And we've seen it in football, right? Like, Saban retires. He probably could have had a couple more years. Hafley from Boston College left to go to the NFL as a coordinator because he didn't want to do that anymore. I understand that part of it. But Pete, it's 2.5 weeks before the season. That's screwing your whole team.
Yeah.
You know, like you could have said that in April. The situation's the same.
What did he say this morning? Because I didn't see
I
it.
got to pull up the exact quote. It was like, he basically said, he said, the game and college athletics are not in a healthy spot. I think I was equipped to do the job the old way.
Well,
Eh.
here's I said this earlier today, and I'm going to talk about it on my show a little bit. I believe that there was something major transpired as far as NIL and the poll is concerned, and it was, I'm sure, the straw that broke the camel's back. By no means is Tony Bennett Bobby Petrino. So I'm going to put my faith in him that he's making this decision for a very good reason, because I agree with you. That's kind of that is like pulling the carpet out from under some people.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
We are Rogue Media Sports.